Hello, good morning. Yes, so this is our refresher for history of architecture, and it will only be 1 month or barely. The examination is very near, so I hope you already have ample time to review, and we really have to inspire ourselves so that you can move on with your review and with your board exams. I know that we have fear because of pandemic, and yet fear is the absence of trust in God. So if you trust God, you're praying very hard for this board exam, then I'm pretty sure God will give you what you desire. And before we ask, it is said that anything you ask in my name, it shall be given. So come on, let's go. Let's start with our refresher. This is Architect Joe, and we will take up the prehistoric to Egyptian to Mesopotamian architecture for a start, okay? So number one, earliest form of dwellings above the ground. Is it A, Stonehenge? Is it B, rock cave? Is it C, monolith? Or is it D, cromlech? So from our prehistoric structures, this is has to do with the dwellings. And the answer here is, of course, it's letter B, rock cave. Before we move on to number two, here is an example of our rock cave. Not only international, but also here in the Philippines, we also have caves, Tabon Cave, Palawan Cave. And so our number two will be a prehistoric burial mound is called, is it A, Hortus? Is it B, Philae? Or is it C, Tumulus? Or is it D, Daedoron? The answer here is, it's Tumulus or Tumuli. These are earthen mound or burial mounds. Next is we have, this is an example of our um, prehistoric structures like two upright stones with a slab on top, which is what we call dolmen. And this one is our tumuli. But then this tumuli is already modernized. This is no longer the earliest type of tumuli. Next, this one is our monoliths or menhirs. These are prototypes of the Egyptian. Is it A, mastaba? Is it B, pyramid? Is it C, sphinx? Or is it D, pylon? The answer here is, yes, it's pyramid. Okay. Now, next is number four. The Stonehenge is an example of, is it A, ziggurat? Is it B, domus? Is it C, hypaetral court? Or is it D, stone circle? The answer here is, yes, it's stone circle. Next, number five. The smallest among the famous pyramids at Gizeh is it A, Pyramid of the Cheops? Is it B, Pyramid of Mykerinos? Is it C, Pyramid of King Saucer? Or is it D, Pyramid of Chefren? So the answer here is Pyramid of Mykerinos. Yes. Or Menkaura, another term for Mykerinos, which is the smallest pyramid among the pyramids at Gizeh or at Gaza, Cairo, Egypt. Okay, this one is our Khufu, the tallest. The next is we have the Chefren. And the last one is we have the Menkaura or Mykerinos. Number 6, the Egyptian gateway to temples is called, is it A, hypostyle hall? Is it B, pylon? Is it C, torus? Or is it D, caravanserais? And the answer here is pylon. Yes. Now, number 7, the Egyptian ornament symbolizing fertility is it A, scarab? Is it B, papyrus? Is it C, grape? Or is it D, continuous coil spiral? The answer here is letter B, papyrus. Number 8, pillars that stood in pairs in front of Egyptian temples. They are known as, is it A, obelisk? Is it B, triglyphs? Or is it C, banister? Or is it D, Osiris pillars? The answer here is obelisk. Okay. Next, number 9, tomb houses that were made to take the body at full length. They are known as A, is it columbaria? B, is it hypogeum? C, is it mastaba? Or is it D, patera? The answer here is mastaba. They are flat top, and it's from the sides they are tapered like pyramid, but it's not pointed, but it's tapered on top. This is mastaba. Next is we have number 10. Characteristic feature of an Egyptian external walls is it A, braced? Is it B, buttered? Is it C, levered? Or is it D, syrinx? So the answer here is, yes, it's buttered. Next, number 11. Egyptian architecture was designed principally for, is it A, internal effect? Is it B, light and color? Is it C, shade and shadow? Is it D, external adoration? Or the answer here is, yes, it's for internal effects. Okay. Now, number 12. The Egyptian cornice that consists of roll hollow molding, is it A, corona? Is it B, scotia? Is it C, plinth? Or is it D, gorge? So the answer here is, yes, it's gorge. This is the gorge and molding or hollow molding within a door opening. Next is number 13. The torus mold in Egyptian temples were used to cover what? The block of the walls. So the answer here is it angles? B, is it base? C, is it cornice? Or is it D, jumps? The answer here is, yes, it's A, angles. Okay, number 14. Egyptian architecture is characterized by massiveness, monumentality, and is it A, dignity? Is it B, simplicity? Is it C, grandeur? Or is it D, lightness? The answer here is, it's simplicity. It's very evident that they don't have downspout, they don't have gutters, they don't have roofings, but instead they have flat roofs, or they have this, what they call lacunaria, or the ceiling from their temples. And of course, we know that they have here their pyramids, which is a massiveness, inspired massiveness, monumentality, and simplicity, because it doesn't have a window. Number 15. The Egyptian system of construction is essentially A, arcuated, B, trussed, C, buttressed, or is it D, columnar and trabeated? So the answer here is, It's columnar and trabeted. Yes. Okay. Number 16. The Colosseum of Memnon was erected by, these are the two pharaohs seated. Erected by A. Thutmose I. Is it B. Seti I? Is it C. Senusret? Or is it D. Amenophis III? The answer here is, of course, we have this Colosseum of Memnon was erected by Amenophis III. Next is we have number 17, the architect of the great Serapeum of Alexandria. Is it A. Darius? Is it B. Ptolemy III? Or is it C. Xerxes? Or is it D. Democritus? So the answer here is, it's Ptolemy, letter B, the third. Next, number 18. The funerary temple at Der-El Bahari was built by, is it A. Cleopatra? Is it B. Nefertiti? Is it C. Tutankhamen? Or is it D. Queen Hatshepsut? So the answer here is, yes, it's Queen Hatshepsut. That is her funerary temple. Okay, number 19. The forerunners of the caryatids of the Greeks is it A. Osiris pillars? Is it B. Hathor-headed capital? Is it C. Atlas? Or is it D. Lotus capital? So the answer here is, of course, we have here the Osiris pillars. Next, number 20. Characteristic wall ornament of the Egyptians. Is it A. Hieroglyphics? Is it B. Beads and rails? Is it C. Polychrome brickwork? Or is it D. Papyrus leaves? So the answer here is hieroglyphics. These are the pictures and writings from the walls of the Egyptians. Whether this one is your columns, which are treated with hieroglyphics, and also they have here their ceiling, which they call it hieroceiling, treated with hieroglyphics. Now, 21. The favorite motifs of design of the Egyptians include the lotus, the papyrus, and is it A. Scarab? Is it B. Nipa? Is it C. Palm? Or is it D. Caveto? The answer here is, okay, it's palm. They get their designs, their motifs from their plants. Okay. Now next is we have number 22. Structure whose sides were made to face the four cardinal points is the, what is it? Is it A, palace? Is it B, temple? Is it C, pyramid? Or is it D, ziggurat? So the answer here is, yes, it's pyramid. Those are the four sides or the four cardinal points. Next is we have 23. The size of the Great Pyramid of the Cheops is equated to, saan daw siya inihal yung tulad, yung laki, the size. Now, is it A, from our Escorial Library in Madrid? Or is it B, from the Pisa Cathedral, from our Romanesque architecture? That's in Italy. Or is it C, Pantheon in Rome? Or is it D, St. Peter Basilica Cathedral? This is during our Renaissance. So the answer here is the St. Peter Cathedral. Okay. So this one is our, from the square, of this St. Peter Basilica, and this one is the plan, and this one is the pyramid, which is equated to the size of the St. Peter Basilica. Okay, let's continue. Number 24, known as the royal architect and superintendent of pyramids. Is it A, T or Tai? Is it B, Sargon? Is it C, Chephren? Or is it D, Ramses II? So the answer here is, it's T. Next is 25. Okay. Now, in the Egyptian temples, a pillared hall in which the roof rests on column is known as A, is it dagoba? B, is it sanctuary? C, is it hypostyle hall? Or is it D, sarcophagus chamber? The answer here is, it's hypostyle hall. These are the series of columns when we talk of hypostyle hall. Next is we have 26. Egyptian temples were sanctuaries into which only blank penetrated. So who can only enter this sanctuary? Where we have, is it A, the kings and priests? Is it B, kings and queens? Is it D, or is it C, priests and priestesses? Or is it D, queens and priests? So the answer here is the kings and priests. Actually, we have this Egyptian temple which is treated with different parts. And we know that the entrance of our Egyptian temple is pylon, the gateway. And then we have this open to the sky, which is, they call it hypaetral. And after that is they have here the hypostyle hall, and then the other sanctuary before the avenues of Sphinx. Now next is we have number 27. Temples were approached through the imposing avenues of A, is it pylon? Is it B, Osiris pillars? Is it C, sphinxes? Or is it D, pyramids? The answer here is, yes, these are sphinxes. 28. The upright stone slab containing the name of the dead found in the mastaba is A, pilaster? Is it B, band? Is it C, scanchon? Or is it D, stele? Okay, it's just like a lapida. Do you know lapida? Where you have your name or the name of the dead enlisted or engraved. And so the answer here is stele. Okay. It's a tablet where you can put the name of the dead. Next is 29. The inner secret chamber in the mastaba containing the statues of the deceased members of the family is called secret chamber. Is it A, Celia? Is it B, Naos? Is it C, Serdab? Or is it D, Simbia? So the answer here is letter C, Serdab. Okay, 30. The grandest temple of all Egyptian temples. It was not built upon one complete plan, but it owes its size, disposition, and magnificence to the work of many kings. And this is built from the 12th century dynasty and to the Ptolemaic period. And is it A, Great Temple of Amun-Karnak? Or is it B, the Great Temple of Abu Simbel? Or is it C, the Temple of Queen Hatshepsut? Or is it D, Temple of Ramesseum Thebes? The answer here is letter A, Great Temple of Amun-Karnak. Okay. Oh, by the way, this one is our Temple of Amun-Karnak. The facade. 31. Huge monoliths, square in plan and tapering to the pyramidal summit are known as, is it A, pyramids, is it B, obelisk, or is it C, espalier, or is it D, columns? So the answer here is, it's obelisk. This one is a counterpart of monolith from our prehistoric structure. This one is our comparative analysis. Obelisk for Egypt, monolith for prehistoric architecture. Next is, so this one is our obelisk. They are treated also with hieroglyphics and tapered with a pyramid, small pyramid on top. 32. A colonnade or portico, either concealed or partly enclosed, is A, cryptoporticus, is it B, diatyrus, or is it C, peristyle, or is it D, battered column? The answer here is letter A, cryptoporticus. Next is we have 33. The Great Sphinx at Gizeh, which is in the form of a recumbent lion with the head of a man and is said to probably represent the god of, is it A, Ammon? Is it B, Isis? Is it C, Horus? Or is it D, Serapis? So the answer here is, yes, it's Horus. We have three types of sphinxes. We have the head of a man, body of a lion, but all of them are body of a lion, and that is the androsphinx. And then the other one is criosphinx, which is the head of a ram and the body of a lion. And the third one is we have the heraosphinx, head of a hawk, body of a lion. Okay. Now, number 34. The small Egyptian shrine dedicated to the rites of the goddess Isis is called, is it A, Mamisi Temple? Is it B, Yetzia? Is it C, Tempieto? Or is it D, Temple? Okay, goddess Isis is the wife of god Osiris. They are both god of the dead. And we also have here the small temple which was dedicated to goddess Isis, the wife of Osiris. And the answer is letter A, Mamisi temples. This one. This is very near this temple of Abu Simbel. Next is number 35. The obelisk at the Piazza of St. John Lateran, Rome, was originally from, is it A, the Great Temple of Amun-Karnak, or is it B, the Temple of Abu Simbel, or is it C, the Temple of the Sun Heliopolis, or is it D, Great Temple Abydos? So the answer here is Temple of the Sun, Heliopolis. 36. Okay. Now, the building of the Great Hall of Karnak was begun by, is it A, Ptolemy II? Is it B, Thutmose I? Is it C, Seti I? Or is it D, Ramses I? So the answer here is Ramses I. Okay. Next, 37. The builder of the famous pharaohs or lighthouse is it A, Ptolemy II? Is it B, Ramses II? Is it C, Amenemhat I? Or is it D, Senusret? So the answer here is Ptolemy II. Next, 38, the most stupendous and impressive of the rock-cut temples is the A, is it Mamisi temples? B, is it Great Serapeum? C, is it the funerary temple at Der-El Bahari? Or is it D, the great temple of Abu Simbel? So what's the answer here? The answer is the great temple of Abu Simbel. Okay, let us take a look at this photo, which illustrated our four colossals of Ramses I to IV. They're all pharaohs, and other statues not higher than their knees, which is these are depict Nefertari, Ramses' chief wife, and Queen Mother Mutui. His first two sons is Amunher Khepeshev and Ramses, and his first six daughters, Bintanat, Baketmut, Nefertari, Maritamen, Nevetawai, and Iset Nofret. So these are the six daughters of these pharaohs, Ramesses, who are seated from this rock-hewn tomb temple of Abu Simbel. And they have here the baboon sculpture on top. You can see that you have their sculptures on top of these colossals. Okay, next is number 39. 39, the four-seated colossal statues of Ramses II is curved in the pylon of the, is it A, Great Temple of Abu Simbel? Is it B, the Temple of Amun-Karnak? Or is it C, the Temple of at Luxor? Or is it D, Temple of Hathor Dendera? So the answer here is Great Temple of Abu Simbel. Okay. Next is number 40. Tombs built for the Egyptian nobility rather than the royalty are, is it A, rock-hewn tombs? Is it B, sarcophagus? Is it C, rock temples? Or is it D, mastaba? So the answer here is, yes, it's mastaba. Okay. Next is we have 41. The Egyptian temples built for the worship of gods were, is it A, mortuary temples? Is it B, cult temples? Is it C, Capitolium? Or is it D, Al-Memor? So the answer here is letter B, cult temples. Next is we have number 42. In the pyramid complex, involvement and internment rites took place where? In the, is it A, elevated causeway? Is it B, offering chapel? Or is it C, mortuary? Or is it D, valley building? So the answer here is letter D, valley building. 43. The palace proper found in Assyrian palaces is called, is it A, Seraglio? Is it B, Khan? Is it C, Talamus? Or is it D, Jawab? So the answer here is Seraglio. This is a palace. Okay, next is we have the Mesopotamian architecture, number 44. Mesopotamian architecture is a conglomeration of Assyrian A, Assyrian and Persian B, Babylonian and Assyrian, C, Egyptian and Babylonian, or is it D, Seleucid and Parthian? The answer here is letter B, Babylonian and Assyrian. For we know that Mesopotamian architecture is from Persia, which is now Iran, Babylon, which is now Baghdad, and that is the capital of Iraq. So it's Babylonian and Assyrian architecture. Next, number 45. Temples in Mesopotamia were elevated on platforms because of blank factor. So the factor here is it A, historical? Is it B, religious? Is it C, social? Or is it D, climatic? So the answer here is, yes, it's climatic.